All right.
Yo.
We're live. You understand? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats, rats, dogs, Manny Fresh, you are now watching and listening to On No Loops.
Yay.
That's right. And today we're going to do the obligatory 2017 wrap-up, talk about our favorite songs, our favorite albums. I am Urkel. Well, who am I saying? I'm Marcus. I'm Urkel Modi on Twitter. And you are?
I'm Gene. I'm at Old Dirty Plaster on Twitter.
And we have a special guest today. Who do we have with us?
I am Jesse. I am J_Ducker on Twitter, but I have not used that for quite some time.
Okay.
I go by Spider Jerusalem when I do my other podcast.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah. No, it's a comic book character.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, dude. From what we're when I'm on the Roof podcast with my homeboy Tim Diesel. I'm Spider Jerusalem.
Okay.
But for now, I'll be Jesse.
Okay.
And then also write for albumism.com. Also albumism.com.
Yeah.
We talk about albums and music and salute all types of dope stuff out there. So check us out, albumism.com. I'm gonna throw my shameless plug.
No, absolutely.
right.
This dude has a ton of albums. You have a lot of album reviews.
I do lots of I do new stuff, and then I do anniversary. So I've done, like, the last thing I did was the 25th anniversary for The Chronic.
Yeah.
And then I've done stuff for, the Public Enemy's first album early this year. The DVD's first album early this year.
All right.
I've done so many, I've lost count.
There's a lot of months there.
Exactly, yeah, because you think it's whatever the 5 years are. So, like, the 25th anniversary of Ice Cube's The Predator album.
Right.
All right.
And so, but yeah, we cover all, it's not just hip hop, we cover all different sorts of genres on there.
Okay.
And we do interviews, all that type of stuff. So
dope
check
stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I should talk to you guys about it afterwards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So check out Jesse on albumism.com.
Word.
We're all gonna talk about some albums today.
Word
so let's just get into it. So, but before we start with our favorites of the year, we would need to clear up a little unfinished business from the last episode.
Unfinished business, EPMD.
Yes.
So what you're saying?
So what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right. Big payback with NWA in the video. So today, last episode we were talking about the Grammys, the 2018 Grammys, and we left out a couple of things that we wanted to note really quick. Number one, we both mentioned that we were surprised that Drake didn't get nominated for any Grammys.
Yeah, but we found out later on that he actually didn't submit More Life, the playlist, for consideration for Rap Album of the Year or Album of the Year. He's had friction with the Grammys in the past, so him submitting or not submitting it probably plays into that.
Absolutely plays into
that. I guess he didn't want to be bothered. I would imagine that he would have been nominated for a few.
He definitely would have.
Yeah. So, that's why you probably won't be seeing him up for any, or definitely won't see him up for anything and won't see him there.
I think he I know in the past he said like he had beef with them nominating Hotline Bling as a rap song. He's like, this isn't a rap song. Don't put me in the rap category.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was making sure it wasn't that like he was upset that he wasn't winning or something like that.
No,
some of these guys get
salty
that they don't win. So
no, Drake is definitely one of the people who they will nominate if he drops something.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So yeah,
automatically.
Yes.
no,
good or bad, he just get nominated.
Yeah,
they know Drake.
Yeah.
So that was that, and then we skipped one of the most important categories of the night, the Album of the Year category, which has 2 rap nominations.
Yes.
In the form of 444 by Jay-Z and Damn by Kendrick Lamar. The Grammys loved those 2 albums, so they were both nominated for Album of the Year, along with Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. I'm sorry, I didn't pronounce that correctly because it has an exclamation point. So it's Awaken My Love. Melodrama by Lorde, and 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars. So, Gene, who do you think is going to win that award?
Well, I can't fairly say. I haven't heard all of Lorde's album. I've heard of some of the radio songs and some things that I've seen her perform on streams of festivals. But I can say out of the ones that I do know, I have heard Awaken My Love, and I have heard 444, and I have heard some of 24K Magic, I have heard Damn. So I would say out of the ones that I do know, I think will win will be Jay-Z.
Really?
444.
Wow. That's bold. That's
yeah, I definitely think that they'll give him that, especially because of the association with Beyonce. I think that that's a clear-cut winner just because of that.
Wow.
And as far as who I think should win out of the 5, from what I know, would be Damn.
Right. Okay.
So I'll go with those 2.
Okay. So I think that they're going to give the award to Lorde for melodrama.
Really?
And the reason why I say that is because I don't think the Grammys have not shown us evidence that they are ready to give a straight ahead rap album of the year. It hasn't happened as of yet. They gave Lauryn Hill the award, but that was not a straight up rap album.
Yeah.
And they awarded Speaker Box Love Below.
Yeah,
which is not a straight up
built off of Hey Ya
rap album.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as of yet, if Jay-Z did win, he would be the very first. And I don't think that 444 is the album that's going to push them over the edge. So I think, as insulting as it would be for like the one non-artist of color to be awarded the album of the year, I wouldn't put it past the Grammys to do that. So I feel like they're gonna give it to Lorde because they feel like that's the safest, either Lorde or Bruno Mars. Well, I think those are the 2 safest nominees in that category.
Well, I mean, with Bruno, who didn't hear 24K Magic?
Sure. He had a lot of hits.
Colossal year, and Lorde was basically festival queen. All of the big festivals, she was headlining or was one of the close headliners. So she's been doing a lot of touring, and it's definitely widened her presence after the first album. So I wouldn't be too surprised. I actually would think that after, in my opinion, Jay-Z getting it, it would definitely be Bruno. So
yeah. I'm always reminded of when Adele beat out Beyonce, right, for Lemonade.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm always reminded of that. I'm always reminded of the one year where, what was it, who did Jethro Tull beat?
Metallica.
Yeah, right.
For
I always remember that. Taylor Swift beat out Kendrick for To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, and I actually listened to both of those albums.
And what did you think of Taylor Swift? I never bothered.
I've listened to one Taylor album, and that was probably the one. And I just,
okay.
No, actually, that wasn't the one, but it did come after the one that I didn't hate too much. I personally think Taylor, all in all, I think that she is a great country songwriter. I think she's not the best pop songwriter.
Okay.
And I don't always like her voice.
Okay.
So just going off of what I know and knowing, how that album played out with the hits, including a song with Kendrick, I wouldn't have given it to her.
Okay.
But,
and then
whatever.
before that, Beck beat out Beyonce for her self-titled album.
I like the Beck album better.
Really?
I did.
Okay. Well, all in all, I'm saying is that I don't necessarily think the Grammys are ready to go rapidy rap on the album of the year. So I think Jay-Z and Kendrick are a long shot to win that award. Like I said, I could definitely see it going to Lorde, but maybe Bruno Mars.
You had a thought.
Yeah, I had a thought. I was gonna say I'm a dark horse. I'm gonna say the dark horse to win it is Childish Gambino, because I think the Grammys award shows like to hitch their wagons to what's hot, and he just won an Emmy. He won a Golden Globe. So Donald Glover's, he's out there, and they like to go and say he's kind of the moment right now. The Atlanta's about to come back. He's going to be in that Star Wars movie. I think that I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think he's a dark horse.
He's on fire.
This is the toughest. I mean, when you look at those 5 nominees, this is actually a really tough year because they're all media darlings to some degree.
To some degree, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree that you don't think this would be a year that you don't think they'd pick a hip hop Grammy. But I mean, it won a Grammy, but this might be the year, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
don't know. It's interesting because there's 2 nominated, which is not normal.
Yes.
I don't think. I mean, although last year, was it Drake and Who was nominated last year?
For which?
For views. Yeah, he was the only hip hop artist nominated.
Oh yeah, I think he was.
Which is, it's barely a hip hop album.
Yeah,
but yeah. So this possibly could be the year because it's just an increased likelihood because there are 2 rap albums nominated. But I don't know if they're ready yet. So I think Lord, Bruno Mars, or Childish Gambino are more likely to win it. I'm gonna say Lord, but we'll see what happens. I hope that's not what happens. No disrespect to Lord, I just hope that's not what happens. But we'll see. But as far as who would I want to win it, either Jay-Z or Kendrick. I wouldn't make that mad at either one. Yeah, either one. Either one, I'd be good with.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'd be good with either one too, but I really do think that because of the association with Beyonce, he probably will win it. Bruno or Childish Gambino, I wouldn't be surprised.
Bear in mind, Beyonce has not won Album of the Year yet, as far as I know.
She is not, but she's like one of the most popular people in the world.
Clearly. I mean, she's the king. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that said, let's get into the actual topic of today, which is our favorites of 2017. This was a year which we saw a lot of rap music being released. I know for me personally, because of the podcast, I listened to a lot more than I normally listen to. I don't know if there was more released this year than normal or if I just listened to more, but I listened to a lot.
There was definitely a lot released. And, considering what type of year we had last year with Tribe coming back, De La coming back, a year without an official Kendrick release, 2017.
When did Untitled Unmastered come out? Was that
was last year? Last year.
Would you call it an official release? Okay, a year without
it's an EP.
A year without one prime for release in the initial league. Whatever words I'm trying to
sure.
And all the events that happened last year, 2017 had a lot to live up to, I believe. But then, of course, you had a lot of big releases this year. You, of course, also had the hip hop beefs as well. You had, just as of a couple days ago, the freestyle that people are still talking about.
Freestyle. That's. Can I say that is actually a song of the year? I didn't. It's not on my list. It's not on my list of top 5 songs, but I think that was the best. It's definitely the best verse of the year. In my opinion.
Talk to the people at the Source. The Source. If they still do that.
It's a song of the year.
The verse of the year.
Top quotables.
I mean, it's definitely my verse of the year. I don't think that's a surprise, but yeah. I mean, I'll be talking about that for a while because I'm just stuck.
Yeah, it's. I've listened to it multiple times every day since it's come out. I've analyzed the lyrics and. Yeah, it's I don't know. Black Thought has been, I would say he's been the best rapper for a number of years, at least the past 5 years, maybe.
We did do that episode.
We did, and so what I mean by that is nobody who can you name who raps better than him right now?
Nobody. I mean, he was on my list. The only reason why he wasn't number 1 was because he hasn't released that much for the last 5 years.
In the last 5 years, the last thing he did was then They Shoot Your Cousin. I feel like he was barely on that album.
He's barely on that album.
He was on 6 tracks.
And then one verse each.
One verse each on that.
So as far as actual output, that's the only reason he wasn't either on my list. I forget what my list was. I don't think it was on my list, but that's the only reason. If he wasn't on it, that's
as far as guy who is accessible through freestyles and radio show interviews and actually spitting a verse.
This is as far as pure rap ability.
Yes, he's the best, and he's done.
His guest appearances have been really crazy.
I was about to say he's done countless guest appearances. Anywhere from a David Banner album to a Rhapsody album to Pharoah Monch album. A lot of places.
Father's Day album.
Yeah, he's been around. So I still have him at roughly, I think it was number 3 based off of his own releases. But to be able to rap like that after almost 25 years of doing it.
He raps better. He's improved with every year somehow.
Yeah. The guy who rapped what he did the other day, I think would slaughter the Illadelph Half-Life guy.
Yeah.
Ill Health Fly guy was insane.
Yes, he was.
And that's rare. It's rare for a rapper to actually get better with age as opposed to declining. You almost never see that. So shout out to Black Thought.
Still doing it.
All right. So now we're gonna get into our 5 favorite songs of the year. And since Jesse is our guest, we're gonna start with Jesse.
Thank you guys. And again, thank you guys very much for letting me go and guest appear on this show.
Of course.
Thanks for coming through.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'll start with number 5. I'm gonna do number 5 is a song by Your Old Droog. It is called. I'm gonna pick the song "Help" by Your Old Droog.
Okay.
Do you guys know which one that is? Or?
I haven't listened to the album in a minute, but I like the album a lot, and I think my favorite song on that album was Rat Man, maybe.
No, but actually, I named the wrong song. Sorry,
okay.
I did. You can do it. Help is the others. There's 2 songs produced by Edon.
Right.
The Help is the one with Edon, which is also really dope.
Yeah.
And Wiki from Rat King, but I'm picking You Can Do It. Parentheses, give up.
Right?
Yeah,
it's not an encouraging song.
No, it's not. And that's the thing. That's what I like about it, because it's 3 verses. It's one about like a basketball player who was like the shit in high school, and then he just stopped really trying, and then we went up against someone who was really good. He wasn't so good, and he just kept on trying, but he just wasn't good enough to make it.
Yeah.
Then there was the girl who thinks she's gonna be the hot shit like IG model, but again, she's just not quite good enough to do it, and gets into drugs and gets pimped out and stuff like that. And then the last one is about a rapper who also he wants to. Everybody tells him he's the shit coming up, but he keeps on trying. He just can't make it. And then the last line is like, "Hey man, ain't everybody supposed to rap? So you can try your hardest." And you can try to do it, and then you just still might not be good enough. And that's a hard lesson in life, but sometimes it's some real shit. Yeah. So I really like that. And Edon's on the beat, and anytime Edon.
I wish more Edon in 2018.
Please.
Yeah.
Now, because I know somebody who's worked with Edon, and they've supposed to be working on an album with Edon for a long time. And it's just just works it very, very, very slowly. So, and that's I'll talk more about it like afterwards. But yeah, he just is very deliberate with his game. So he's but yes, you're right. We need more Edon all the time, whatever. He's a master with this, and I know he's a perfectionist, but just
I can relate to that.
Yeah, he's a perfectionist, but a lot of the stuff that he works that he likes doing, like he grew up like worshiping, was just by kids who were just throw it on the whatever, so they weren't doing hard. So I hope he just can put some music out.
I would love to hear an Edon album, or just more Edon beats, or guest verses.
So that's why I was so happy that either one of those songs I'm gonna pick You Can Do It, because it's a really, really dope song. Number 4, Odyssey, You Grew Up.
You Grew Up.
Yeah, that is a serious song. So that's my message.
That is a serious song, man. It's a message for the moment. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, because it's the first verse is about him. I don't know if it's a true story, but if it's a very good story.
He tells it like it's a true story.
That like it's his friend who he grew up with, the white kid he grew up with, that a little bit of a punk kid, and they punk music, but they build and they grew up in the same neighborhood and they shot ball together, and then eventually his pops got laid. The white friend's pops got laid off, and he blamed his father, Ozzy's father, who's an immigrant, and they started butting heads, and they break up. And then later he said he finds out dude was a cop, turned into a cop, and shot an innocent person. So it's some deep shit.
Yeah,
and then the second one also, it's a deep from another angle, because it's like this Muslim kid who kind of son of immigrants who's growing up here in America, and he's getting picked on because he's trying to live the right way, but everybody assumes the worst of him because he's Muslim. And then he gets approached by somebody who's like, "Hey, it's the line of it. I can teach you that life is a weapon. That you can use your life as a weapon against evil." But what he's talking about is using your life to blow people up. So yeah, it's some deep shit, man.
It is. I know when I heard it, I was just like, I was driving. I was like, the hell and it's something that can be disturbing to hear if you're like in a certain zone,
right,
that you're just like listening to some happy stuff, and then all of a sudden you just pop this track on. it's a little shifting.
Yeah.
It's a little shifting.
All right. And then number 3, I'm going to, it's another, 3 of the 5 songs are these really serious ones.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's just, I'm not usually like that.
Yeah.
Rhapsodies, Jesus Coming, last song on the album.
Yeah, close it out.
Yeah, because I like the way the beat. I think Ninth did the beat on that one.
I believe so.
Yeah. And it's 3 verses, and it's all like 3 different people who are just kind of minding their own business, doing their own thing, and they got shot just because people are acting stupid. And now it's them lying on the ground, considering their life, trying to talk to their family, trying to talk to their friends, what they'd say to them, trying to just disbelief, like, hey, I was just out here playing with my daughter, and all of a sudden these cats are acting stupid, and I get caught in the crossfire. And then I think the final verse is her rhyming from the perspective of like a soldier out in Afghanistan also, who's out there. He doesn't believe in the war anymore, but he's out there doing it, and he gets killed and shot, and he's like, this is what it was all about, and just in disbelief. But she's really makes a really emotionally affecting song.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, and it's just I was surprised by the quality of her. Just how much I liked her before, and I thought she got even better this year.
I did too.
And then just the type of stories. I mean, I could pick a whole bunch of songs on that album, but that one is just like, this is a good year for really emotionally affecting songs. And that
people are just letting it all hang out.
Exactly.
There's a lot of emotional shit happening this year.
Exactly. and she wasn't even talking about like the political shit.
Right.
This is just like life and death, and what you're thinking about, like. Yeah, it's just you could be at a house party one day and you're going out there, have a good time with your friends, and it's all over.
Shit pops off.
Yeah. One thing I will say about that song, but I found the vocal sample a little annoying.
I get that.
It's a little overbearing.
Was it?
For me, it was. You might not agree, but I found it a little. But the song is dope. The song is dope, but I found the vocal sample to be a little.
I always find it interesting because they did group it with a singer. So like,
well, yeah, there's a singer on there. There's what's her name? Amber from Moonchild.
Right.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, I find it interesting just because you did work the sample instead of having featured singer who's singing the other part sing that part over too. So I always just find it intriguing.
Yeah,
that they choose to do that.
Like to layer the singers.
Yeah. I mean, the vocal sample does good, but it's kind of a ninth wonder thing. So I'm used to him doing that type of stuff. So I'm like, all right. And then the lyrics were good enough that I just was like, okay.
Yeah.
So number 2 is less serious. Tanya Morgan, VPND. That is all.
I kind of figured you get some Tanya Morgan in there.
Some Tanya Morgan, man. And then I like that song because first of all, it's produced by Roddy Rod, and I'm like, I'm a huge Roddy Rod fan. He's down with God, I can't remember the name of the crew. It's the down with Odyssey and all them, and Kev Brown.
Oh, Low Budget.
Low Budget. Yeah, he's down with them. So I think he's a completely underrated producer. So I like that he worked with them, and just lyrically, it's nothing incredibly serious, but it's like a tribute to my favorite group, EPMD, or one of my favorite groups, EPMD. So, Von P and Don making dollars. Don. So, yeah, it's just a really dope beat, and they kick some really just tight battle-type rhymes off of it. And there's nothing really more deeper than that to it, but they do their thing, and I really like that album, and I just feel like, in general, it's just really good production, compiled with, like, they just kind of do their thing onto it.
I need to listen to that album more.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan of Donnie Morgan. Shout out to Don and Vaughn. I know they're not watching this, but shout out to them
if you are.
But yeah, like their album from what was it, 2010? Brooklyn Natty is one of my favorites.
That's great. It's a great album.
I love that album. And they always do good stuff. They always do solid work. So I need to. I did listen to that album, but I need to go back and really dive into it.
I'm a huge fan of that album. That's just my favorite song on it. And I didn't even know it was a Roddy Rod beat until afterwards, and then I was listening through it, and I was like, oh, he did it. It makes sense. Sounds like him. So I highly recommend that one. And my favorite song, speaking of serious songs, Brother Ali, Dear Black Son.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah,
I knew it. Somehow
I knew it. I saw you going through it. I think I saw you at the Brother Ali kind of there.
You can't do that.
I looked over and I saw the page. I saw the picture on it, man. I don't know what song you looked at, so but whatever. So I'm sorry, my bad. But that's a great song, man. It's just seriously, you thought I talk about emotionally affecting and poignant songs. Yeah. That's why I'm just digression. When that Post Malone shit came out, and he was like,
that was fucking
this the stupidest shit ever. And he was like, oh, if you want to listen, don't listen to hip hop if you want to, want to cry. I'm like, have you listened?
It's because you don't know hip hop,
bro. Culture. But seriously, if you listen to that song, I don't even have kids. Right. And that shit made me want to cry.
Yeah.
I mean, just him talking about, even if you separated it from all the crazy shit that's been happening in the last couple of years with like police and young black men and young black children,
right?
It hits you right there.
Yeah.
And then when you add that on top of it, just like, hey, you gotta be careful with the way. You don't have to be careful. That's the thing. It's like you just be you.
Just be you.
You be you. But you should know there are people out there who don't see you as a real person. They see you as like 500 years of stereotypes.
Right.
That shit is just that gives me that's some heartbreaking shit.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So it's just like, and also it's just like, he's also talking about like, don't, you just be you growing up. I said, don't let me, I'm not controlling your life. Nobody else out there should be controlling your life.
Right.
You just grow up and you be the best person you can be.
Yeah.
That's some heavy duty stuff.
Yeah.
Man. And that's a great album by him. And he does a lot of emotionally affecting stuff, but I can't remember the last song like emotionally opponent that really hit me like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So best song of the year. It's a freaking great song.
It is.
Shout out to that dude. Brother Ali is another dude I think has been getting better recently. Especially this album, and he's kind of peaking right now, and he's doing a lot of just, again, emotionally and like content wise and storytelling wise, he's kind of firing on all cylinders, and never anything better than that song right there.
Yeah, he's just doing great stuff.
Yeah,
he's definitely shifted over the years. Like I feel like he's mellowed out as a rapper and as a man.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to any of his interviews, he's definitely a lot mellower than he used to be. He doesn't really do. He used to do like a balance of the poignant and like the battle raps.
Right.
He doesn't really do the battle stuff.
No, he doesn't do battle stuff anymore at all. Yeah.
He's just going in full emotion now.
Yeah.
Full vulnerability, fully revealing, as opposed to, hey, I'm great on it. People these days seem to want to hear that less and less.
Right.
Like, it's great that you can rap. Like, instead of telling us, just sell us on it.
Right.
We know that you can rap because you're here. To some extent, you can do what you need to do. Just show us by telling us a story, telling us about you. And that's what I like to hear more about. So that's why I can definitely relate with that just being an awesome song.
Yeah. I think he's just changing as a person, honestly. I feel like he's just like he doesn't really curse anymore either. Like there's one beat curse word on the album, and then that's it.
I never noticed that. But
yeah. I was listening again the other day, and I was like, yeah, curse free.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, I'm sure we're gonna get into this album later when we get whatever. But yeah, just in terms of like the type of stuff, he is rhyming from a mature mind state and place. Even as a person of strong opinions, he knows that, like, these are my opinions. These are how I'm expressing them. I'm not expecting everyone. I mean, he teaches those he feels needs to be directs his music towards. But yeah, he's definitely come from a solid place with it. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Jesse, that was your top 5 songs.
Yes.
Gene, your turn.
Okay. Well, I've got top 5 that definitely is different than yours.
Good.
For the most part. But I would start with mentioning that I do have a couple honorable mentions that didn't make the top. Give me 3.
Give you 3? Okay, 3 honorable mentions.
Really quick.
All right, Jay-Z, Smile, Open Mike Eagle, and Haslow, 95 Radios, and Kendrick Lamar, Fear. Those are my 3 honorable mentions.
Fear, which he said that's probably one of his best verses of recent memory, Kendrick.
Yeah.
Okay, good job. My 3 honorable mentions would be The Hated by Dave East and featuring Nas. It wasn't a single. It was something that when I was listening to his album, I was like, oh, Nas is going to be on there. But he's just on there talking. The good thing about it is that the beat is very hypnotic and it's a really deep story rhyme, and the hook on it. They hated Malcolm, they hated Martin. It's real deep, and he's just flowing along like he's riding the beat really
well. Honorable mention?
Huh?
It's
honorable mention.
So we got it.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, okay, yeah. Nas talking is better than him doing a hook.
Pretty much.
But
pretty much. I did put the Black Thought freestyle as my honorable mention. I did put Bodak Yellow as one of my honorable mentions. Okay, I liked it because of the shift in flow patterns throughout it. I was never a huge fan of the subject matter, but the way she was just spitting, it's like she meant it, and the shifting in the patterns I like.
Okay.
Okay, so my number 5 was Happy Wasteland Day by Open Mike Eagle. I got into this album overall because I saw that we were going through releases, and I was like, okay, well, I can't say that I've ever really been into Open Mike Eagle, and I did listen to what was the name of the last album? Film Festival?
A Hella Dark comedy album? No, that's not it.
The last album.
The one he did with the producer.
Yeah, Lost. I've stumped everybody.
No, I liked it too. It was one of my favorite albums. Hella Personal Film Festival.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was kind of like, but other people did like it a lot. But listening to this album, Happy Wasteland Day, it was definitely a song that stood out to me. He's getting really political on this, and it's not so much a straightforward telling of what the political climate is now, with lines like when the king is a garbage person, I might want to lay down and die, power down all my darkest urges, keep my personal crown up high. He's like, I don't know, he's known for a lot of satire, but with this album, it's kind of just talking about his environment more and using a lot of metaphor, and I just enjoy the shit out of that. It's like I'm catching something new every time, and I'm just felt like I'm being fed more and more. So I enjoyed that. I actually made a mistake with my order here. Hold on. No, I didn't make a mistake in my order. I'm sorry. So that was my number 5.
Okay.
My number 4 was 444 by Jay-Z, the title track. His apology to Beyonce.
Right.
And of course, a lot of people have touted him for the album overall being crazy personal. This song especially, and we talked about it last week in regards to how it sounds and how we're satisfied with it being nominated.
And we did an entire episode about the album.
Yeah, and we did an entire episode about the album. The sample alone, which we talked about last week, was great, wonderful use of it by No ID, and then on top of that, Jay-Z just going in there and just spitting what he needed to spit, what he needed to tell Beyonce. I seen the innocence leave your eyes. I still mourn this death, and I apologize for all the stillborns because I wasn't present. Your body wouldn't accept it. I mean, like stuff that we don't even deserve to freaking know. They're just really just laying out there and just crafting a wonderful piece of work in that song, and I enjoyed that.
And again, just given that it's Jay-Z, it is even more.
It's a big freaking deal.
It's a big deal because he's always been so guarded. Like that's one of his. Like if you compare him to other rappers, he's always like about personifying cool and just being kind of infallible, and so
he always kind of holds everybody kind of on.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like larger than life. He's like I'm non-approachable. I'm not the everyman rapper. I'm Jigga. I'm superhero.
Right.
God flow. That guy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. My number 3 was DNA by Kendrick Lamar, which was I guess the opening to like the lyrical onslaught that you found on that album. And I'm gonna shine like I'm supposed to, antisocial extrovert and excellent, mean the extra work and absentees. What the fuck you heard? And pessimist never struck my nerve, and Nazareth gonna plead his case. He just really just went in on that song. I mean, just, you know, and that's another one. Every time I listen to it, I'm just like picking out certain lines, like, yeah, you know, he for him to just craft that work and just black out for that track. I mean, granted, there was a hook, but it just seemed like he was just spitting it all in one take, and I felt like I was in the booth with him, and he just, you know, all of his thoughts about his blueprint as a person is just out there, and it's crazy, and it caught me. So DNA, that's my number 3.
Energy on that Creo song is just fucking crazy.
Yeah, man. It's like heavy metal, man. You know, it's like if you're at the Kendrick concert in the front row, you need to be moshing, like
throwing them bows.
Yeah. Number 2, Land of the Free, Joey Badass. The Lord won't get you acquitted, but you still ask for forgiveness. Put opiates in syringes, then inject his religion. He just flowed so well, and like in the past with Joey, I was just always like, okay, yeah, you know, you've got a couple songs talking about you, and then you're doing that hardcore 90s shit, and like, okay, you're cool. But with this album, it was just like, I'm going there, especially since it was like one of the first political statements. Well, actually, no, he released it right before January 20th, I guess, right?
No, he came out, I think I'll say it was in the spring, man, honestly.
Or either...
Oh, was it the previous album he released at the top of the year? I think
the previous album.
The previous
before
album,
the money was before at the top of the year. This one was in the spring, but it was one of the first like major label albums that actually dealt with the election.
Yeah. So like hearing that at that point was like perfect timing for me to be caught up in it, to reach out to me, and I just felt like this is something that needs to be constantly streamed or pumping out of somebody's car or whatever, because it's speaking exactly what I'm feeling right now after everything that has gone on with the election. And I just really enjoyed that track, and it just had repeat value all over it, because it just flowed really well, especially with all the way down to the hook, into the lyrics and everything. He just flowed across the beat really well. So that's my number 2. And big surprise, my number 1 was Dear Black Sun, by Brother Ali.
I didn't know that was the one you're gonna
pick. I was thinking about this the other day, listening to the album again for the show. I could say that there's a lot of emotional hip hop songs. A lot of things that have reached me, made me feel things, maybe, you know, stuff that I reach for when I'm not feeling happy, stuff I reach for when I'm happy, stuff I reach for when I'm confused, and I feel things. So, you know, Post Malone, I don't know. But as far as like songs that made me feel misty or to the point of crying or almost crying, there's Troy, there's that reminiscent of you. There's Love Comes and Goes by Ed O.G. And there's this. This song, when I was listening it to the other day, I was like, oh my gosh, I might need to pull over. And you know, basically the that song, you know, I don't know exactly what he really was going for as far as, am I going to make this into some song that's going to be a highly touted record or a hit or whatever. But it is something that I hope everybody listens to at some point. And it is a song that should be streamed and downloaded a million times.
It deserves more publicity and more like, because I didn't see a lot of people talking about his album or that song, and that it should be out there like that. It should.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that it's not even in like underground quote things.
Right.
People don't feel like I don't feel people are talking about it as much as they really should be.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. Like I even think about it and break it down and say, how is it that he was able to just like reach me or you, or even you about even you, yes, because you're with a song and not so much just say certain things and say, oh, I hope this appeals to somebody, to just, I guess even just the breaking in his voice is probably something that just reaches out to the listener and says, hey, you need to be feeling something in the midst of listening to this. So that song is just I don't know, man. There's nothing else I can
say. Definitely. If you haven't heard "Dear Black Sun" by Brother Ali,
get a Kleenex before you do it.
Exactly. You don't have to buy the CD. You can Spotify it. You can Apple Music it. Do it. Although I recommend buying it. Or
yes. Support your artists.
So.
But yes, that is my favorite song of 2017.
All right. I'm happy to say that none of the songs on my list have been mentioned by either of you.
Whoa!
So, variety.
I like it.
So, so I will say before I start that "Dear Black Sun" was an honorable mention for me.
Okay.
I think it's probably the best written song of the year. There are other songs that I enjoyed more, I guess I'll say. But that song is definitely a must hear, and I had to mention, even though it didn't make my top 5, I had to mention it because it's a song that everyone needs to listen to, I would say. So my number 5 is "Looking Exotic" by Future.
All right.
Yes, I know.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at your choice.
I don't care.
I haven't even heard the song, so I can't. I'm not the judge.
I'm surprised too. So basically, I listened to both of Future's albums this year for the show because we were just talking about albums that came out, and I've tried to broaden my listening because there's a lot of I haven't listened to most of Future's albums,
right.
So I was listening to it just to hear what it sounded like, and I listened to this song more than almost any song this year. I played it a lot. But it's mainly because of the beat. I will say that the beat, which was produced by K Major, and actually samples like a Jake One track. Yes, that Jake One.
Jake One, who's done a lot of work with 50 Cent and other folks,
and a lot of people, like Doom and Freeway. Did a whole album with Freeway. And
Brother Ali did the whole album.
He did a whole album with Brother Ali. That was
really
dope as well. Morning in America, and Dreaming in Color.
Right.
But yeah, like the beat on this song is just so hard. It's hard as fuck, and I like hard beats. And it was just I just played it a lot. Future is himself is okay on. He's basically just talking about spending money on a woman, more or less, as rappers do. And but I just really I love the beat so much, and Future for his part doesn't fuck up the beat. Like his whole auto tune thing that he does actually sounds good with the beat. It actually like his sort of melodic voice works well with it. And it's just a powerful record to me. So it was my number 5. I would be lying to myself if I didn't put it on my list. You know what I mean?
Okay. Don't lie to yourself.
Exactly.
Don't lie to yourself.
Accept your truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Live your truth.
Yes. My number 4 is Aux Chord by Big Crit.
Yay.
This is a song on an album full of great songs. It's a song about basically just name checking like various artists throughout the years, where he's talking about like artists from the 70s who did great music, even up to like neo soul, so-called neo soul. He's basically just saying, look, the music you're playing now is bullshit. Pass me the aux chord and I'll play you some real music. So, but the beat, which was produced by DJ Khalil of was Self Scientific.
Yeah.
Who's done a lot of work for a lot of artists, like Jake One, just a guy who's just done a lot of kind of undercover.
He did some stuff with G Unit in there or something.
I think he's done some stuff for G Unit. He did some stuff for he produced a record for Jay-Z.
Yeah. Did he?
On He did "Mama, I Made It" off of Kingdom Come.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
All right. Wait, that was Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, the beat is just super like hypnotic and kind of like atmospheric. And when you combine that with the subject matter, it's just, and it has like this beautiful guitar at the end of it. It's a really dope song, and it's kind of a late entry because the album just came out a couple months ago. But man, that song immediately hit me again on the album full of great songs. That song just immediately hit me as something that I had to listen to many times. So yeah, that's Aux Cord, Big Crit.
All right.
My number 3 is Burkina Faso by Rock Marciano.
Oh god,
love that song.
Yes, I knew he was gonna make some list because, like, I mean,
I've talked about him a lot.
Yes.
on the show.
Yes,
so, and you've been in my car,
Exactly.
so you know that
Yes.
I'm playing his album.
It's like Rock Marciano again, and you're like again and again.
Oh yeah.
When Maurice was out here, he was telling me, "Oh yeah, listen to Rock Marciano."
I was listening to
Yeah. Shout to Mo, Reese out there.
Yeah. But no, this just this beat. It's, you talk about hypnotic. It's just this loop that features like it's like a flute and just some weird like sound effects, but and the piano keys on it as well. It's a brilliant loop. I don't know if I listened to the original record, but like whoever, like the guy, shout out it was produced by his cat named Animas from the Arch Druids, which is a production duo that Rock Marciano works with. I don't know how he found that loop, but
that album was definitely solidly produced.
Yeah. But just that song. I mean, it's typical Rock Marciano. Rock Marciano doesn't really stray. He doesn't go outside of his comfort zone as far as raps go, as far as his flow, as far as his delivery, as far as his lyrics. He always stays in kind of the same lane. But that beat is just so dope. Just so fucking dope. So that's my number 3.
What are your strengths, man? That's why I feel like you're talking about, like, it doesn't change. It's just like some people say, "Oh, you gotta go take chances, man. Do what you're good at." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Shout out to Nas.
Do
what works.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 2 song of the year, Gene, you probably guessed this one as well. This is Duckworth by Kendrick Lamar. This was This is the closer / opener of Damn.
Depending on which version you got.
This is Kendrick Lamar basically telling the story of how his manager and his father met, and how that kind of drove his fate, basically. How their interaction drove his, that led him to where he is now, and how if things had gone a different way, he might not be around anymore, or he might be doing something else.
Yeah.
So it's a really vivid story, really vivid slice of life of his it's a true story, and it's told masterfully, as Kendrick Lamar tends to do. But the beat was produced by Ninth Wonder. It's
the beats.
Yeah. So it's basically 3 different beats that Ninth Wonder gave Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick decided to make one song out of the 3 beats. And it's what I would call, it's like typical Ninth Wonder. It's definitely, uses that same kind of the same snare, the same bass that you would expect from Ninth Wonder, which I like personally. That's not a knock against Ninth Wonder. But I love all 3 beats. The way that they weave in and out of the song just works really well. It's some hardcore boom bap sampled shit paired with masterful storytelling, and it's a true story, which just makes it hit even harder.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't ask for anything more from a hip hop record than what we get on Duckworth. So
yeah. I totally agree with that. That was a strong record, and every time I listen to it, I'm like, okay, I'm listening to a different part of the story that I missed, and I'm also saying to myself, like, okay, yeah, he told his story, and he could have just spit it out without really making it flow as well as he did, but he didn't, and it really draws you in just because of that. And I enjoy that as an end to the overall album.
How do you enjoy it as a beginning to the album?
That's the beginning to the album. I haven't listened to it in that.
I made a playlist of it. It actually works.
I did too.
It works as the beginning for a song. I mean, some of the transitions aren't as good as people say. Like, but when you go and listen to it backwards, but that song as the first song works, and I agree with everything you said. It's a great story. He takes all 3 of those 9 beats and he does shit lovely over them. And this because it's why I like it, because you can't quite tell like what he's talking about for like a little bit, because he talks about tops or whatever, but he's not referring to him, or the kid named Kenny doesn't refer to his father. So you don't know quite what he's talking about till you like to get to the end of it. So that's what works really well.
That build up.
Yeah.
So then my number 1 song of the year, my favorite song of the year, was "Do Your Thing" by Devin the Dude.
Wow, that's a great song. Man.
Devin the Dude is Devin the Dude is just he's one of my personal favorites. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. Love how he's kind of an everyman, but he essentially just he smokes weed and he drinks beer and he likes women. And that's kind of what exactly. Those
words to live by.
Those are very agreeable things.
Exactly.
Right? So, and he spices that up with humor, also with just like real life shit, like just talking about, just shit that people go through, like if you're broke or what have you. He, real life struggles. To talk about that stuff too, and just he's basically I consider him like a modern day blues artist. He's like a rap blues artist. And this song "Do Your Thing" is about basically he's talking about a relationship. He's breaking down a relationship where he's providing everything for a woman, and the woman eventually decides that she doesn't need him anymore. And he's kind of just talking about how he's fucked up behind his woman leaving him, and he's like, you know what, fine, fuck it, do your thing. You want to be independent, you want to do this, you want to do that, fuck it, go ahead, But it's not. It's kind of a serious record, but it's something that I know a lot of people can relate to.
Right.
And just this beat, which was produced by Blind Rob, who you might remember from Odd Squad.
Oh, that's Steve from Odd Squad. Wow.
Yeah.
Of course, makes sense. Blind Rob.
Yeah, and Blind Rob, they've been working together his whole career, but this beat is just so smooth. It's just so lovely. It's a beautiful track, and the kind of seriousness of it matches the lyrics. But this is a song that I will never get tired of listening to, and I've listened to it so many times since this album dropped. I think it's one of his best songs, and it was absolutely my favorite song of the year. It was close. It was close between this and Duckworth, but this beat out Duckworth for me. I love this song.
Nice.
Should have remembered that song. I should remember that album.
It's a good album. It didn't make my list, but I will mention it briefly. It's one of his best albums in years, and so I agree. Acoustic Levitation, really solid album.
Righteous list, man.
Exactly.
All right. So now let's talk about albums.
Word.
Actually, let's go back. We'll go back in the same order. So we'll start with you, Jesse.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna name a couple of honorable mentions.
Okay.
L'Orange or El Orange or however you pronounce it.
L'Orange.
L'Orange. I mean, you've heard him already. If you're low range, he said that works too. The Ordinary Man, an album that came out, Mel Music Group. It's a kind of instrumental album, kind of back to his roots, talking about like a magician who's like an unorthodox magician who. It's weird. It's crazy, but it's dope. I think then he's got most instrumental, but he's got like verses with like Dell and Odyssey and Chinatown Oddity and stuff like that. So if you haven't heard it, check it out. That's a good one. Another one is this cat. I don't know if anyone's heard of him, but I'll give him a shout anyway. Jihad, the Roughneck MC, the Wretched of the Verse. He's from the Bay Area. He's rapping with a group called Third Sight for a while. This is his little solo album of his. He still does stuff with Third Sight. It's really kind of serious, dark, very lyrical based stuff. I'll hip you all to it.
Yeah, because I'm not hip to that.
Yeah. Okay. And then the other, the last one of the honorable mentions. Oh, but Mike Eagles, Brick by the Kid, Still Daydream. That was number 5 until last night when I was driving home from the holiday party. It was going between that and one thing I could number 5.
Something changed.
Part of it is also because most of these albums on here are serious, and I wanted to have like one like, little slight. And also, and I'll get to it. It's just something about this number 5 hit me really well, which is I don't know if you guys have heard. You ever heard of the Booze Brothers?
Yes, yes.
They're from Philadelphia.
Okay.
They're affiliated with the Low Lifes, Thurston Howell the Third.
Right.
It's what are their names? I got their names right here. It's Clever One and Him Low. They're from Philadelphia.
I know Him Low for sure.
Yeah, they're from Philly. They're from Philly. They call the Booze Brothers. The album's called Adabisi Hat. So
right there, that sounds like something I want to listen to.
Yeah, it does. And what I like about it is I'm just always a sucker for like East Coast grimy, grungy, and this really feels like a mid-90s grime. And I'm not just talking like Rain Ghost, which is what they were calling it. I'm talking like those independent 12 inches that you would buy in like 95 through 97,
like Strictly Roots.
Yeah, even grunge. Like there are songs on this album where I'm listening to, and the beats are mixed like way too loud, and it's just like filthy, nasty, dirty stiz, and I just love that type of. I mean, I always will be a suck, and it is just the most rudest, filthiest like lyric, like talking about like. Yeah, I'm gonna piss in your mom's mouth, and like I'm gonna dab my whole ashtray into your mouth, and take a bite of your sandwich and spit it in your face. And, so it's like that type of thing.
Right.
But it's just they just crazy, just East Coast metaphor, killing you with the Mr. Miyagi hands or stuff like. Put you in a coma with the Mr. Miyagi hands. Okay. So I will always be a sucker for that type of thing, and there's a lot of really good like kind of East Coast. Grungy return to roots, but this one I feel like really, really captured the essence of that. Like few albums of that year, because again they go whole hog with it. Like I said, just poor mixes and everything. They got, I mean, the beats are like a lot of cats I've never heard of before. Cats named Claymore. There's actually one Japanese cat. I can't remember the name of his name, but I've seen he's done like a couple compilations recently. But yeah, so the Booze Brothers out of Philly, they're down with Mark Speck. I don't know if you guys have heard of him or something like that. Yeah, so. I really, really like that album.
Sounds like something I would see on uncut.com.
Exactly. Yeah. I got hip to it through like a Bandcamp Facebook post where it's like, oh, the hip hop releases of July. Wow. Yeah. And I clicked on it, and then when they showed that, I was like, and I went and listened to it. I was like, man, this is really good. So, and plus, like you said, the album got Adabisi Hat. That just pulls you right in. Okay. Yeah. So then that's my number 5. My number 4 is Odyssey, The Iceberg. We talked about it before. I mean,
okay.
So a lot of there's gonna be a lot of overlap between the songs and the album, so it happens. But Odyssey is always he's been one of the best artists of certainly the 2010s.
Most consistent.
Yeah, of the 2010s between from people. If you want to go back to like Diamond District for that album, and then going for it, then just everything, all his solo albums, and I feel like his production. It's different now because he used to do mostly sampling, and now I feel like he's doing a lot of live instrumentation. I know he's been touring with a band,
good company.
Yeah.
So. And it you could definitely see a stark difference from even just people hear what they can't see to this album,
right? Yeah.
Like if you are Ready to Rock versus any of the tracks on here, it's totally different.
Yeah, and it's also a lot. It's there's some of it's serious, like we talked about who you grew up. And then there's some songs, I think it's called Rain Dance, where he's talking about, just growing up as a person. Yeah. And just, learning, you can't run wild and messing with girls. And he talks about, being now he's happy and he's married. He can leave his cell phone face up and stuff like that. Yeah. I was like, whoa, that's some shit. Yeah. That's something that we can all relate to. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But yeah, it's just, I feel like there's a lot of maturity there. He's good because he can just do some lyrical stuff like Things and Never Not Given Enough, and then he does some stuff like that, like Growing to Be a Better Person, and of course the song I mentioned, You Grew Up, which is also some really, really serious stuff. But it's even working with like live instrumentation. I'll also say it's not some guys who have like live bands backing them. There's kind of a sameness to the music, and I do not think that's the case with him. So I very much appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think Never Not Getting Enough was my favorite song.
It is a great song. That's like it's also got that go-go feel to it too.
Yeah, it does. So. It definitely does.
Yeah, that was a great album. Yeah, that was definitely a great album. And I like seeing him stack up this catalog and just really being able to perform so much good stuff. And he does a lot on licensing too. And you just randomly hear some of this stuff when you're clicking through channels, and I'm just happy for him.
Yeah, no, he's killing it, and what's I gonna say? And also, he's another guy who doesn't curse at all. I mean, he's going instead.
I feel like his album trajectory, and his sound, and his rhymes are kind of he's on the same sort of I guess you would call it evolution as Brother Ali.
Yeah,
I feel like they're similar, and they're both Muslims as well.
Right.
Is maybe a coincidence, maybe not, but I definitely feel like they're on the same kind of.
Yeah, no, I actually do think they're Muslim. What's called word? What's the word I'm looking for? The fact that they're Muslim does have a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Number 3, also I mentioned this album before. I mean, some of these guys before. This is Tanya Morgan. The what's it called? You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So I like the whole concept of it. It's just kind of like that music is seen as disposable now, and like the whole like theme is like, hey, we're trying to raise $10,000, and obviously they're not raising the $10,000. That kind of telethon going on right now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the valuation of music, and I think there's some, in terms of also just boom bap type stuff. I mentioned, VPND. There's a song Cole Modelo, also by Kev Brown from Low Budget Crew. Yeah, and then he also is talking about this song about I think it's what is it called again? Transplant Anthem. We're just talking about, going and moving someplace new and trying to figure out how to get your life doing. I know it's kind of personal for Don Wilk. I think he was from Cincinnati.
He's from
Cincinnati.
He's in Brooklyn.
He's in Brooklyn now. So, and then, you got a song with bring back the third group, Ilyas of what's it called? That's the Filthiest. Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's slow it. And then, also got shout to Siren Young out there. He sings on a couple songs on that one too. Yeah. So Finish Line. So yeah, it's just I think it's a good mature album from them. And I really like Brooklyn Natty, and this is a good next step for those dudes. And I always like when the stuff they do.
So, all right. Shout out to Tanya Morgan once again.
Tanya Morgan. Number 2, Rhapsody. Layla's Wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom. Can't it's just, I liked her a lot before. I feel like she's gotten even better. It's not all Ninth Wonder on this one.
There's definitely a difference between this and the last full studio. Full length studio album.
That's called My Crown, right?
Crown.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just she's coming from songs like Black and Ugly, which she's talking about, self-image. There's a song where she's talking about hollering at the guy who lives a couple doors down. And it's just, you never hear that perspective from, certainly not most people, but I hate to just say a female MC. You never hear some hey, I'm just trying to holler at a dude, just like I'm just trying to holler at a dude.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
women holler just like we do.
Exactly. And just trying to spit her game. And then she's really dope on it. And there's also got that killer Black Thought verse. Mentioned Black Thought before.
Yes. Insane. Shout out to him again.
And then that was You Should Know, the one where it's kind of like they rhymed over the cell therapy beat, and that's just the lyrical monster on that one. So it's just, and I even like the little interludes, like the one, I don't think it's got a name to it, but when she's talking about being on Snapchat and IG and stuff all the time. Yeah. So
that's at the end of Nobody.
No, I think it's at the end of the one after. I think at the end of maybe you're right. Maybe it's on the end of Nobody.
But
it might be. I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing with this album, though, is that it flows so well.
Yeah, it eases in and out that you don't notice when the songs end, and that's okay.
Yeah. And then there's that song, the one Riding with the dude from around here. God, what's his name? GQ. Yeah, I think he used to play at University of North Carolina. I think he played basketball for them, actually, truthfully. But yeah, I think they just performed here. I did miss that show.
I did see that show.
How was the show?
It's great.
Yeah.
She had the crowd. And of course it was special that he was there too.
So so that's everything about that album is good. And the Kendrick Lamar, Kendrick Lamar, who kills on that one too.
Yeah.
Doing his little Jamaican thing,
So, he tried it.
He tried it. Jamaican, yes. He did. Hey, look, when we grew up, people always, Snoop, exactly. So
everywhere.
Exactly. Devin the Dude, great at it too. So
yeah.
And then number 1, probably shouldn't be surprised, the Brother Ali, All the Beauty in This Whole Life.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you mentioned it before, just a very, very, very mature album, and just talks about unique life experiences, like when he the song like Uncle Uzi taught me, when he's talking about going to Iran and everything goes pear shaped when he's over in Iran.
Yeah,
which I hadn't heard.
That's a great
song.
Great song.
And then what's that one? I just wrote it down. Pray for Me. Also, when he's talking about dealing with going to school and his hair. The fact he's albino and people are calling him AIDS, and the teacher accidentally calls him AIDS.
This is a true story.
Yeah, it's just so he thinks he has to dye his hair, and it's just then he finally gets taught wisdom, like okay, just learn to accept who you are, and don't try to be anybody else. And then what's in there? There's one other song. I think it's It Ain't Easy. Yeah, where he's talking about like I'm somebody with strong opinions. And I know that also means that people want to engage me all the time on it. And I'm like, you know what? You can have your differences of opinion. And we don't have to agree. We can still be cool. But then you don't have to talk to me while I'm like, talk to me about it while I'm out here at the pool with my kids and stuff like that. You don't have to talk to me about my social media over there. So it's just how also people, I guess it's also just about how people take him seriously as a person and as an artist, like as, as a spokesperson. So I thought that was really kind of nice. And and then I can't figure who he's talking about. And there's one song I think it's called Out of Here. He's talking about some friend of his who passed on. There's some speculation they might be talking about Idea because he's talking about because the way he's framing it is like the dude person like committed suicide, and it's never been.
Could be I think his father committed suicide.
That's what I thought possibly is what it was. It's some speculation, but also it's just kind of like, I'm sitting here trying to come to grips with the fact that you took your own life and I loved you as a person and I just never I couldn't see that was going on. So I feel bad and I'm trying to forgive, trying to reconcile the person who I know was the person that could lie. And that's again, some deep shit that a lot of people don't really talk about. It is very
deep. Just to even talk about it, even if it was just a passing line in a song,
right? It
would have been one thing, but to just go full blown talking a full song and make it very emotional is just a big deal, a huge deal.
So that's a good. And again, I feel like that album does not get enough shine.
No,
that album is really, really freaking good, and I feel like more people need to talk about it and listen to it. So buy it. Buy it, listen to it, do whatever. I'm sure just buy it or see him when buy it from him when he comes and performs in your town.
There you go.
Exactly. Support the artists.
So that's my list.
All right.
Which way are we going? We're going the same way?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I would have to say that was a pretty good list. Okay. I feel like I feel bad because you're naming some of the things that I'm going to be naming.
It happens, man.
It's the same thing. Well, as far as honorable mentions for albums, I would go with You Only Live Twice by Freddie Gibbs.
Oh.
It's not, of course, if you are the type of person, category of person who came on board to his career around the time of Pinata, don't go in there expecting Mad Lib beats, but expect the same depth of description of all the things that he's talking about. And it's just like, dude could flow, but he just really wants to transport you into exactly what he wants you to know about. That dude knows how to put words and lines together. It's beautiful. That was an honorable mention. No Dope on Sundays by Sahai the Prince.
Late entry.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that one yet. Actually,
it's good.
Right.
It's good. It's good. My only issue is that it's a little long. So I probably would trim a couple songs off of that, and it would probably be in my top 5. I would be putting the Big Crit album title of it right now.
Forever is a mighty
long time. Sorry. That which was a double album and was also a fairly late entry.
Yep.
Great record, and it's probably one of the better double albums that I've heard in recent times. And Anchovies by Apollo Brown and Planet Asia. I definitely enjoyed that album. Planet Asia is just flowing, and I expected Apollo to just go straight soul samples, but he added some variety to it. So
that's good because I feel like, as much as I like Apollo Brown, I feel like in recent years some of his production has gotten a little stale to me, where it's like a little too predictable. So I'll be interested to hear that because I haven't heard that.
You like Rock Marciano? It really sounds like Planet Asia version of Rock Marciano.
It does. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, because the drumless production. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely different for Apollo.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check that out.
So my official top 5, number 5 was All American Badass by Joey Badass.
Okay.
I already mentioned my thoughts on Land of the Free. Devastated was a huge record for him this year, and just raised his profile and was streamed like, a bunch of times. I love that record. Probably my favorite record other than Land of the Free is Why Don't You Love Me. I'm like listening to the record and I'm like, oh, Joey's getting a little emotional about a girl. And then I'm like, oh, he's not talking about a girl. And I probably should have figured that.
Oh, yeah. It's in parentheses, Miss America.
Well, when I was listening to it, I was like, I wasn't reading it. So,
okay.
So I'm like, whoa, okay. That is definitely an emotional track about, we talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but it's not even for everybody. And he's really positioning it in a wonderful way. Mm-hmm. And I enjoyed that record. I enjoyed the whole album, Super Predator with Styles P. Mm-hmm. He has several collaborations on there.
J. Cole is really good on that.
Yeah. That album I felt was just flawless. American Idol was also a good track and good way to close out the album. And I really think that he matured into this artist who is, dishing out his views and thoughts on the world and getting into stories as well. And just going there. I've always loved the way he flows and said, hey, he's a nice little revival of the 90s, but he just said, let me put that aside and just talk about the state of the world right now, state of the country, and just go there. And he definitely went there.
Yeah, I like that this album is definitely a lot more focused than his last album. His last album, I felt it was a little too long, and it definitely, like, he didn't try to do as many things as he tried to do in the last album.
Yeah,
which I think is good. I think, and I like that he honed in. Also, DJ Khalil produced a few songs on that album as well. Right. He's everywhere.
What's the name of that song with the posse cut on there? I can't remember. That's the one with like Flatbush Zombies and some other cats on there.
Ring the Alarm.
Ring the Alarm. I like that because that feels like some like 90s Mobb Deep type stuff or something like that. Yeah.
I definitely enjoyed that album. My number 4 was Layla's Wisdom by Rhapsody. You just talked about it. There's a track for every audience on that album.
Yep.
Chrome, that is it's screaming single. Like, I don't know if they're done promoting the album, but they need to put that up because it's just like, even though it's not fully intended to be a flossy glossy track, it sounds like that initially. And then of course, a nice little beat switch up, which happens a couple times on the album.
Several times.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that. And again, Ninth just extended on, he's been working for years. He's well known by a lot of people, but there's a certain audience who didn't know him, and Damn extended or raised his bar a bit, and he's just capitalizing on that with this album. So I definitely enjoyed the music on this album. And yes, Rhapsody, she was already a great MC. She just went to the next level. Like, I always felt, okay, she can rhyme. This is great, but I don't know about carrying an album. Mm-hmm. She carried this album, lifted it above her shoulders, threw it into the stratosphere, whatever you want to call it. Because this is a great, great album. And if there's any awards to be won by it, I hope that she gets them. Mentioned that I saw her a couple weeks ago, and she definitely can perform as well. So I enjoyed this album. I initially thought it was going to be too long, but I was listening to it, and song after song, I was just all wrapped up into it.
You said that in the last episode. I'm curious, what is your ideal album length?
My ideal album length is anywhere between 45 minutes to just over an hour.
Okay.
When you're getting into the hour 16s or whatever, I'm like, okay, there's going to be some filler. With Crit, that didn't happen really. With, anybody that I'm mentioning who may be an hour, that didn't really happen. With her, that definitely did not happen, and she was just over an hour.
Yeah, her was like 64 minutes. So
yeah. So definitely a good album. My number 3 was Brick Body Kids Still Daydream by Open Mike Eagle. This album, initially when I was listening to it, I heard the lyrics being sing-songy, and I was like, am I gonna like this? And Don't choke.
Oh,
I didn't think that I was going to like it, but like I played it once and I was like, cool. Played it again. I was like, this is starting to stick. Then it just got into a rotation where I didn't even realize I was playing it over and over and over again. Like Legendary Iron Hand was a great intro. It just is knocking beat, and it's just like open the door, listen to more. Exile has a few production credits on there. The first track, Legendary Iron Hand, is actually him and They Might Be Giants playing guitar on it.
Yeah, no, he's a huge They Might Be Giants fan.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got that. You've got just a lot of deep delving lyrics, which talk about his upbringing in Chicago. I'll talk about the projects that he grew up in, which are gone now, and a lot of the people
they tore all of them down.
Yeah, and then they can't even account for all of the people who used to live there, which is pathetic. And just all over, like real deep delving lyrics and emotions, and I just enjoyed it. And I'm just picking up metaphors, picking up different things every time I listen to it. So it just gets me excited to listen to it. So I really enjoyed this album.
Okay.
Shout out to him. Number 2 would be Damn by Kendrick Lamar. So there was a really high bar set for this album after To Pimp a Butterfly, being his last studio album. And I was amongst the people who were sitting there like, okay, Kendrick, what you got? Just like everybody else. And there were some people who, after that first listen, they were like, it doesn't sound like To Pimp a Butterfly. I'm not going to listen to it again. Me, I went in, I listened to it, and I listened to it so many times this year. He went a total different direction musically, as we've mentioned with some of the songs. Working with different producers, Mike Will Made It, Ninth Wonder, who he worked with before, which I felt made a great soundscape for everything that he was going for as far as different emotions and theming them as different titles for songs, going from fear to love to lust, DNA being the track that set everything off, Humble, which was the track that everybody was just chanting the chorus all across America. I really enjoyed this album a lot, and I personally feel it's a classic. Some people might not, but I really think that Kendrick is really imprinting his footprint as far as being one of the greats of hip hop history. Some of my favorites on there, I already mentioned it. I also liked Love. I know you didn't like it.
I don't like Love. I still don't like Love.
Love
is the one.
I think that's the one I sort of came around on. The one I'm not quite there on is God, but the rest of
lovely.
Yeah, for somebody who doesn't like the song.
Well, I gave it a fair listen. I tried to like it. Yeah.
I came around on that one. It took me a little bit, but I came around on that one.
And so that was my number 2. Would you be surprised at my number 1?
No,
you wouldn't be surprised. All the beauty in this whole life.
He's got good taste, bro.
Yeah. My brother Ali. And like, it was only this week that I officially decided it was going to be my number 1, because I was like, should it be in my top 5? Should it be in my top 5? And then I sat down, listened to it again after the first time that I listened to it, and I was like, yeah, you're like moving to 5, you're moving to 3. I should put you at 1, because it is a perfect outline for how, if somebody came up to me and said, oh, well, what do you think about the current state of hip hop? Should I start rapping or things like that? I would say, here you go, listen to this and really get into what I would think that hip hop should be. Like, I personally think there's a lot of room for hip hop to be fun. There's a lot of room for you to talk about money, cars, and clothes.
Sure.
But I think that there should be a lot of room for people to talk about what they feel, talk about their emotions, to talk about things that are reaching out to the audience that they're trying to speak to. And I think that those three groups, they're fine to, you know, exist at the same time. And this definitely goes into that third group. And I enjoyed it so much. And we talked about some of the records, of course. Dear Black Sun, you mentioned Out of Here just hit me
that
almost as hard as Dear Black
Yeah.
Sun. You know, Uncle Uzi taught me Pray For Me. Special Effects, I love. That's like a wedding track, basically. A hip-hop wedding track. Just the album is basically flawless. It is flawless. So I am so happy that he made it. I unfortunately didn't get to see him on his tour, but hopefully I'll get to see him soon. And great piece of work. So those are my top 5 for this year.
All right,
Great list.
all right.
Thank you.
So I'll go with my list. I'll do honorable mentions. One of my honorable mentions was Brother Ali, All the Beauty in This Whole Life. I mean, yeah, I really have nothing bad to say about that album. It's not my favorite Brother Ali album, but it's a great album. And what I will say is there were days this year where I felt really shitty about humanity in general, and I listened to that album to kind of like, because it's not a pessimistic album by any means,
Right. No.
Yeah.
which you might expect, but it's a very optimistic album in a way. And so I listened to that album to kind of help me restore my faith in humanity, like for real. Like, but it didn't make my list, but it's an amazing album. Also Devin the Dude, Acoustic Levitation. Again, as I said before, it's he's one of my favorite artists, and it's one of his best albums in years. Just really well done. He just mixes the humor with the real life shit in a way that few artists can do, and I love Devin the Dude. Also, Quelle Chris, being you is great. I wish I could be you more often. Again, he's also another one of my favorite artists of the past few years, and this album it has more so than his previous albums. It has a central theme, which is like self-acceptance, which is something that I wish more rappers would talk about. Just talking about being comfortable with yourself and loving yourself.
Yeah.
And I love his production. I love his raps. I just
just got engaged too. If I want to understand.
To Jean Grey. Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Nice.
Shout out to them. Two of my favorite rap artists.
All right.
Love them both. So good luck to them. So, and congratulations as well. Not just good luck.
But good luck too.
Absolutely. So all right. So my number 5 is Jay-Z 444. This album, again, Jay-Z is not, as we've discussed on the show, he's not one of my favorite rappers. I know he's like top 5 for a lot of people. He's not top 5 for me. But this album, he did something that's completely different for him. Not just on the one hand, yeah, it's more confessional, more emotional, more revealing than he's ever been. But also in terms of the music, he went with no ID for the entire album, except for 2 songs on the like 2 of the bonus songs that came out later were produced by James Blake, but everything else was no ID. So it's a different sound for him. It's not at all a clean album from a production standpoint. That is, it's a lot of soul samples. It doesn't have that crisp radio sound that you might be used to. Like Jay-Z will usually give you like some hit records with like a crisp, a crisper, more modern, futuristic type sound. He doesn't do that at all on this album. And so I think musically it really matches with what he's saying and his, like, some of the revelations and some of the more confessional aspects of the record. And it's, the album stays on like kind of a theme, and it's the album that you would expect a man of his age to make, right? Because I think previously he's kind of tried to chase like the younger crowd, as a lot of rappers tend to do, and he doesn't really do that on this album, which is different for him. Yeah. And so I felt like it's somewhat of a short album, which I think is good. The 10-track version clocks in just over 30 minutes. But I think say what you got to say and get out. Keep it brief, son. Half short, twice strong. Jizza, that's right.
Another album's 20 years old.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's 444. My number 4 is Kendrick Lamar. Damn. So to me, this album is not as good as To Pimp a Butterfly or Good Kid, Mad City, but a good Kendrick Lamar is still a great hip hop album.
Right.
A good Kendrick Lamar album is still a great hip hop album, regardless. Yes. Because just his mastery of the craft of rapping is second to only Black Thought, I would say, at this point. Right. But like the way that he flows on all of these songs, like he switches up his flow on every song. He perfectly blends well with whatever beat he's given, tries out different flows. Just the way that he's able to use his mouth. That's what she said. It's masterful. Like he's really doing a lot of verbal gymnastics with his rhymes, and it's impressive. But he's not just rapping for the sake of doing it. He's like, this album is a more personal album than his last album was more concerned with like blackness as a whole, and even musically it was more concerned with blackness as a whole. But on this album, he's going a little more inward, talking about himself and his inner feelings, and he does that in a way that few rappers can do. And I would say it was the most lyrically rich album of the year. I'll say that. And yeah, I still don't like Love, but overall, again, Duckworth was one of my favorite songs of the year. Amazing song. I really like, you mentioned Fear.
Yeah.
Love, Fear. Alchemist. Yep. Yeah, I really like a lot. That's a great song. Feel, Element, just a lot of really, like, Element is a song where he's able to make something that's catchy but also saying something, which is something that he's really good at doing.
What about the song with U2, Triple X?
I like Triple X too.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I like you got the beat switch there. You got like three movements in that song.
Yeah.
And I really like that song because that's the song where he's talking about like people want him to inspire them. And he's like, look, if somebody fucks with me or mine,
right,
they're getting killed. Like he said, I'll chip a nigga then throw the blower in his lap. I chip a nigga then throw the blower in his lap. Walk myself to the court, like, bitch, I did that. Yeah. I'll try to inspire the kids, but at the same time, I'm human. Yeah, exactly. So, it's again not my favorite Kendrick album, but still really good and still great as a whole. Like, there are few people on his level as far as making albums, as far as making rap music. So, my number 3 is Rhapsody, Layla's Wisdom. This might be the best crafted. I think this is the best crafted album of rap album of the year.
Okay.
In that you can tell they put a lot of effort into making this a very cohesive and fluid listen. Like we were talking about before, a lot of the songs just flow in and out, and you don't even know when one ended and the next one started.
Right.
The transitions are so well done. The sequencing is so well done,
and that's something that's missed. It reminds me, even though it's not a full hip hop album, it reminds me of whatchamacallit. Oh, geez, it reminds me of Miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Huh.
Yeah, because it's like that album was sequenced for you to have a full listen, and you could say it was because of the skits on that album or whatever, but it drew you in to the point that you're not saying, okay, well, I'm going to listen to this and then listen to that. It's like, turn it on, let's go wash some dishes or whatever, because this is going to be a full listen for us. And I feel like that's the same thing with this.
Yeah. And like you mentioned before, the beat switches, there's a lot of beat switches on the album. And Jesse was talking about like the diverse subject matter. Like she talks about everything. Yeah. Just from a very real perspective, and I really like that you could tell she made a clear effort to hit as many perspective, like talk about as many different things as possible.
It never feels forced.
It doesn't feel forced. Yeah. It doesn't feel forced. But yeah, it was just just really well done. I was when I first listened to the album, I was like, where are the Ninth Wonder beats? And then when I looked at the track list, I'm like, oh, he did like 9 out of 14 of the tracks on the album. He really made an effort to expand his sound on this album.
Yeah.
You don't get what you would call his signature sound, like a typical Ninth Wonder banger, on here at all. And I think it's almost as much of a showcase for him as it is for her, in that he's like, look at what else I can do. You know what I mean? And it's musically, there to me there was a strong contrast between this and Kendrick Lamar's album, in that this album is very like the sonics are very warm and soulful, whereas Damn was very like abrasive and kind of cold almost sonically, which is not a negative thing. It's just a contrast that I noticed when listening to it. But I really love the production on this album. And yeah, it's just, I mean, Rhapsody raps her ass off, and again, just really has a lot of substance. Like, there's not, whether she's talking about just hollering at somebody or talking about, like we were talking about the last song on the album, Jesus Coming, which is a really heavy record. She just always has something interesting to say, and just well fucking done. Like, what more can you say about it? It was just again, just it just reminds you of the days when people put more effort into making an album. Yeah.
Complete product.
Yeah, exactly. Flows perfectly.
So my number 2, my second favorite album of the year was Big Crit, Forever Is a Mighty Long Time, which was surprising for me because it's a double album. And if you listen to our double album episode, I generally tend to have a negative attitude about double albums. I'm like, why did you make a double album? Don't make a double album.
This was not the case.
This is not the case with this album. Big Crit, who's another one of my favorite artists. He managed to make a double album that is very low on filler, and now it could be a single album because it's not super long. It's 84 minutes.
Yeah. To say, I mean, it's double albums go. It's pretty short on each disc. So
yeah. And I think the reason he made a double album because there's a concept, right? It's kind of similar to the T.I. versus T.I.P. album concept, where it's like the first disc is the Big Crit disc, and the second disc is the Justin Scott disc, which that's his real name, Justin Scott. So the idea is that the first half of the album is more like his rap persona, and the second half is more personal. But if you've been listening to Crit for a while, he's kind of always done that. I feel like he's one of the things I like about Big Crit is he always balances kind of the personal with the more like with the braggadocio. Like he's always done that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you even see it on some of his guest appearances too.
And so there's definitely a few tracks you could trim from the album to make it a single disc. But I'm not mad at him for making a double album, which is rare. Normally, I'm like, come on, man, don't
do this.
Come on.
But, it's thematically it holds together very, very well.
Holds together well,
and he's got a lot of songs to tour with now.
And also, I think like some of the songs are like 6 minutes long, but it's kind of like he just adds extra instrumentation to them. He's doing a lot of interesting stuff with each song.
We're talking about like beat switches or what have you. There's a couple of songs on here where he does that as well. It's like like a second movement to the song.
It's a good album. Gotta keep the devil off.
Yeah. Like
Confetti's my jam on that
confetti. Your confetti ain't heavy.
The second disc for me is just like amazing. Like song after song after song, it's just like, each song is like better than the last one. And it's like every time I listen to it, it's like I forget how good the next song is. Everlasting. Price of Fame. Higher Calling with Jill Scott.
Yeah.
Love that song. That's a great song. Mixed Messages. Mixed Messages is awesome.
That's a good album.
Get Away is awesome. Again, I mentioned Aux Chord already. Get Up to Touchdown with CeeLo and CeeLo Brown.
CeeLo actually raps.
Yeah, he raps. He doesn't do an inspirational hook. He actually raps.
He raps and he doesn't do corny parody songs. He's rapping like it's Second Goody Mob album. I very much appreciate that.
Yeah. But it's just he was just really, really, really strong. An album that I can't wait to listen to again, honestly. And it was surprising because it's a double album. It came out just like a month or two ago, but it's just really strong. Just a really strong album. It's an album, kind of album that you want to play for people. Like, yo, have you heard this yet? Listen to this.
And I think you've played the number one for me a few times.
You already know.
I was trying to figure it out. Oh, okay. Now I know
you already know what my number one is. Yeah, my number one album is Rock Marciano, Rosebud Revenge. Man, I love this album. And it's just it's an album that I've listened to so many times this year. So many times. It's still in my car. I've listened to it on every streaming service, just headphones, car, wherever, home stereo. I've listened to it everywhere. Why?
Why is it so good?
Why? There's something about his style that I just love. Like he in my opinion, he has this very nonchalant, non sequitur style, which is kind of at least in terms of lyrics, he reminds me a lot of Doom, a bit of Ghostface, a bit of Kool Keith, even, who he's mentioned as one of his like inspirations. And that's just, those are like some of my absolute favorite rappers of all time.
Right.
And so he follows in that line with the way he just flows, like he has this very deadpan sense of humor. His delivery is extremely low key, and which might annoy some people, which I totally understand. But the way he just rattles off lines like it's nothing, like 2 biscuits, like it's time for tea. Like that's just, it's so clever, and so like he just delivers it in a way he's not calling attention to it. Like, look how clever I am. He just says the shit and then goes to the next line. Like fresh to death. He thought a nigga slept in Tupperware. Like, come on, man. There's the rat magnate. Jackets made of snake. The cash at a rapid pace, like the way rabbits mate. A rapid pace, like the way rabbits mate. Like, come on, man. Like,
Pig knuckles.
The way he will just string together like pop culture references and just pimp shit or whatever, but he does it in a way that's so masterful and just so enjoyable to listen to. Like, and I love the production on the album, like you were talking about, kind of that more where the drums are less emphasized.
Uh-huh.
A lot of crazy loops. It kind of reminds me a bit of like Stroke of Death. Like in some moments, it reminds me of like Stroke of Death off of Supreme Clientele, or again like kind of just very unorthodox loops, weird sounds, like finding like a weird part of like a very obscure record, like you'll find like a German pop record or something, and just like loop a very obscure part of that record, and I love that. I absolutely love that.
Which is the one with that my father is dying part of it.
Oh, my father is dying. Yeah. I think that's Pray For Me.
Yeah,
which has a really dope saxophone on that record, or horn, like a horn on that record. But yeah, like, and I recognize this is not an album for everyone. Like, my lady hates this album.
But you're gonna listen to it every time you get in the car anyway.
Yeah. But like, because it's not for everyone. Because again, he almost whispers at sometimes, which I understand people would probably want him to be a little more like. And he used to do that earlier on. Like, if you listen to Marsburg, which was like 2010, I believe, he's definitely, his delivery is more energetic on that album. And starting with Reloaded, which came out in 2012, he's kind of gotten more and more laid back. But I don't mind it. I think it works with the music that he chooses. And what I really appreciate about Rock Marciano is that he clearly is making the music that he wants to make. He doesn't give a fuck about being popular or being famous. He's just like, look, this is what I like to do. This is the kind of music I want to hear. This is what I like to make. This is what I want to talk about. And he just does it. And that's one thing that I always harp on with rap is I hate it when something sounds contrived or forced. I really like it when I can tell that somebody is just making the music they want to make.
Yeah.
And he absolutely does that. And I wouldn't say this is my favorite album. I actually liked, I think Reloaded to me is a masterpiece. That was his last, that was the album from 2012. But Rosebud's Revenge is excellent, and it really continues along that same line. And it was easily the album that I listened to the most this year, and I haven't gotten tired of it yet. So
I would figure you would have been by now, but whatever.
Like I said, his drumless production thing is not for everyone, but I always get it. And like I said, I just always have a weak spot for just New York, dirty grungy New York shit.
Yes.
I mean, this was in my top 10. You know what I'm saying? Because I've written out my top 10. This was like number 10. But
I had a question.
Yes.
Well, you can continue with that point.
No, I was just gonna say it's number 10, and I don't put fault you put number 1 because, like I said, just 9 albums I like better than it right now.
Yeah.
But excuse me. But yeah, no, he just has a real, like you said, kind of matter of fact way of doing things. He doesn't put a lot of extra on it, so I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
What was your question, sir?
Well, my question is about a different album. Are you finished?
I'm done. I'm finished.
Okay. Was Damn in your top 10?
No, it was not.
Whoa!
Look.
Don't say whoa.
Whoa!
All right, look, here's my thing. And I knew this.
Whoa.
It's in my top 20. It's in my top 20. It's in my top. Look, Kendrick, I'm not as big of a Kendrick fan as everybody is. And I think my problem with him, I don't like his voice as much. And I really don't. He didn't do it as much on Damn, but he did this a lot on Pimp a Butterfly, the whole shrieking thing. And it's like, dude, stop yelling at me some of the time. And it's just like, and I get he's a brilliant lyricist. He puts together phrases well. He's very deep with it. It's just, and I can look at Damn, and like I said, Fear is one of my favorite songs that came this year. DNA, that's another one. Yeah, Duckworth. It's just something doesn't always add up with my thing. And it just, honestly, it just might be that he's not the type of music for me. Like I said, sometimes it's just there's a little bit too much, like you said, Rock Marciano is kind of like nondescript with it. Kendrick sometimes to me is a little bit too much like, look at me, I'm being deep type thing with it. So, and I get it. And maybe that's just who he is. And
you want him to sell more, not tell.
Yeah, and I feel like it's cool because I know he knows he's a great artist. I know he knows he's a great lyricist, and I know he knows he's got everybody's ear at this time. And I'm sure people say he's a humble cat, but it's so much. Yeah, he's pushing. It's like he's trying so hard to be the best rather than just being the best. Is the thing. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's just like hey, I'm gonna, be the man, and it's a lot of times I like it. I like the albums that were just great when they weren't trying to be great. You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's every single time he's like, I'm trying to make the greatest album all the time, which is an admirable thing. But sometimes I really feel like, hey, I'm just gonna make the music that's in me right now at this point. Those are usually the albums I prefer. But I respect Kendrick Lamar as an artist. I respect everyone who puts his album in the number 1 or 5 or think it's the best album ever. Or some people are saying that he's a top 5 artist already. I might not agree.
He's don't agree, but
I respect it. And truthfully, man, and because you were talking about Kendrick before, my 9-year-old nephew has heard Humble before, so I'm like, okay, it's not my favorite song, but if he's listening to Humble rather than some of this other crap out there right now, I'm happy. Let him listen to Humble. I'm like, there's a lot worse. There's a lot of garbage, like I said. So when he was up here, I was trying to play him some like 80s and 90s. Him and his little brother, some 80s and 90s stuff. And then he was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, like hip hop, like Humble. I really like that song. And I'm like, yeah, I made sure to tell me you listen to the clean version of it. So I was like, okay. So I respect it. And like I said, for a lot of these dudes who I'm old, so I just don't get. He might get a little more.
Let him say he's old. Don't try to tell him he's not old.
Yeah, I'm old.
We're old.
We're old.
We are
old,
it's
man.
Okay. It's okay.
So, I'm old, so I don't get. So sometimes I say, okay, you know what? He's not for me, and not everything that he does is for me, but a lot of the stuff is. So I can respect it.
Yeah,
that's my long-winded answer. And I knew this question was going to come up.
I feel like you were talking about. You said you want him to just be the best rather than kind of
try to be the best.
Yeah, I feel like he did that more with Butterfly than with Damn. I feel like Damn was a bit more because the album he put it out a lot faster. Than Butterfly. That album took years to make.
Right.
This album seemed like he kind of like it almost seemed like it was a rejection of the last album in a way. Not like as in he doesn't like that album, but as in like I'm gonna just put out something in a year. I'm not gonna try to like call back to all eras of black music. I'm just gonna make what sounds good to me right now. And it's a personal album. So I felt like with this album he was a little less like Butterfly is definitely a grandiose statement. Granted, I love that album. Extremely.
I like it as much as everybody else does, but I like it. But there's some great stuff on it.
But I think that was definitely more of him making a grandiose statement than this this album.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. But I still feel like some of that, like, hey, I'm gonna be the shit here, and this is, like I said, just be the best on always. It's like why I like The Chronic by Dr. Dre the best by him, because that was just like, it was just him in the studio pulling like beer and weed and just getting smoked and just doing whatever music, whatever. Whereas I feel like all those other albums, like, oh, I have to go and make that great album again rather than just making the music.
I really never really listened to Compton.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Compton.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it too.
It was way over the top.
But exactly, he was trying to. I felt like he was trying to be like, I'm going to change the game again, rather than just make the music and see if it changes the game, rather than I'm just going to shift the whole paradigm. So, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so.
he really overdid it on the intensity with that record. It's a lot. But yeah, okay. I think we're good.
So I was going to say, what are you guys' thoughts on the year in general, 2017 in hip hop? How do you think it stacks up?
Compared to last year, I really think that last year was definitely a stronger year because it was, the climate. But I mean, really, you think about the fact that, I guess it was just because some of the people that I wanted to see make records came back and did that. But also in 2017, you did have people who never even spoke up about certain topics, politics, their own emotions or whatever, finally do that. Put out full albums about the political climate, put out full albums about how your everyday life is or how you feel about cheating on your wife. Put out
shitty. You should feel shitty about cheating.
Yeah, of course.
I still don't think he cheated on his wife. I still think I think he's trolling all of us, but it's a great album, so whatever. So,
we could debate that for hours. But maybe.
I think 2017 was definitely a more vulnerable year, but I think that 2016 just had a lot more to choose from. Right. Not that 2017 didn't have anything. What next year will bring, I don't know. I mean, but what I can say about this year is that there were even a lot of great albums that we didn't even talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed Big Boy's album. I enjoyed the new Cunning Linguist album. I enjoyed
look the other ones I got here.
A few other albums that came out this year. I enjoyed Dizzy Wright's album. I enjoyed
the old Drew album. I thought was pretty good.
Drew's album was really good.
Good. Who else? I mean,
Lecrae's album. I liked Lecrae's album.
I heard Lecrae's album yet.
Go listen to
it. I have bootlegged because I'm not going to pay $100 for this album. Those Nakami albums. You ever heard of them?
Oh, Haitian Body.
Yeah, I mean, not even that one. The ones that come after that, they sells on Bandcamp for like $100 just to get like a streaming download of it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pay that much, but I'll free 99 it because whatever. Yeah. And those are actually pretty good. And Dirty Diggs, I don't know if you've heard of him. He works at Planet Asia quite a bit, actually. Yeah. His is dope. The Anchovies album was dope.
Yeah, that was dope.
What was the other one I was thinking of? What's that cat's name? Husk Kingpin. You ever heard of him?
Oh,
yeah. I didn't even know he dropped an album until like last week. And I went and downloaded it. And I'm like, oh, this is pretty damn good.
Yeah, there's been a lot of great things that have come out this year. And even moments within albums that I wouldn't normally like I didn't particularly care for the album on a full, but that 2 Chainz album was fun to listen to.
What's the pink?
Pretty Girls Love Trap Music.
Listen to that album.
I haven't listened to it recently, but I listened to it when it came out.
Is it good?
I like some of it.
I like some of it too. I didn't like it as a full album, but he was having fun, and it wasn't like me sitting there like, do I have to listen to this to review it or whatever? Yeah. It was like, oh, cool, And even this recent album, Double or Nothing, Big Sean and Metro Boomin. I didn't care for Big Sean's selection of some lyrics, but Metro Boomin actually sounds better than what I've heard before. So, there's definitely has been a lot of great moments this year and all over the place.
What do you guys think of the Quality album?
It's pretty good. It's
actually,
also
I thought about it back just outside my top 10, honestly.
I liked it. There were points that I wish he could have traded out, but I liked whatchamacallit, You're the One That I Love. I liked Traveling Light. I liked you know, he's definitely got some tracks on there. I liked what he tried to do with Waka Flocka. You know, overall it was a cool album, and it was definitely a return for me, in my eyes, for him. So I liked it.
What do you think of the year?
I feel like speaking about quality, I feel like he's dropped a lot of solid albums that haven't gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah.
But it's a good, and I think just talking about 2 Chainz, I really liked Poor Fool from that album. I just want to yeah, like there were a lot of good to great albums that came out this year. And I feel like more so, I don't know if I listened to more this year or that I thought there was a better slew of records this year, but I definitely thought there were a lot more good albums this year than there were last year, from what I remember anyway of last year. There were a lot of records that could have been like my number 4, my number 5.
Yeah.
And so again, like, I mean, we mentioned a lot of albums. I don't think I'm gonna name any more, but it's hard to keep up with everything.
So much music comes out now.
Well, yeah, you know, we're in the digital era, and anybody can put out an album. We can put one out tomorrow.
Exactly.
So
I mean, yeah, and then these days it's all about the, you know, used to be build up for the album. Now it's just like, okay, bam, here. Put it out. It's out. It's out.
Put it out now.
Bang, it's there. Yeah. No, it was. I probably liked last year a little better, but I think my top 20 to 30 are pretty solid. I feel like last year I felt like there was like 50 or 60 albums I was really fucking with.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like that. I just like listening to music all the time, and this time I feel like there was like 20 or 30 albums I listened to a lot. Whereas last year I was like, damn, I can't get rid of this stuff.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was still a good year for music. So,
yeah, I agree.
I mean, yeah, there's always something to pull out for every year.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
Word up.
So, are we done?
I think we're done.
All right. I think we're done. Of course, we have mentioned all of our contact information. You can, of course, check out this episode on YouTube. We will have it in podcast form soon. You can contact us on the Twitter about anything that we've mentioned. And
On No Loops on Twitter.
On No Loops on Twitter as well. And, of course, OnNoLoops.com. We appreciate you watching our stream, and we would definitely love to hear your opinions about anything that we mentioned. As I always say, be kind but be wise, and always be on time. And appreciate you always.
Yeah. So
you always
do
that.
Well, okay.
Watch out where the Huskies go underneath the yellow snow. As Frank Zappa would say.
I'll work on transitioning from Gene's inspirational quote to whatever I have to say. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and
thank you guys for letting me on here, man. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for coming.
I like talking to knowledgeable cats about hip hop, and also knowledgeable cats about hip hop.
So thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
And check out Jesse at albumism.com.
And check out the On the Roof podcast with adp.fm. If you click the shows, they'll be on the roof. I'll say On the Roof with Tim Diesel, but now it's me and Tim Diesel on there. Okay. So a lot of the shows, it's me behind the boards, Tim Diesel doing his things on the turntables. A couple of times I get lucky enough to do whatever. And also check out Cold Sweat on there, which also behind the boards. My man Fluid Cut does spins old vintage new soul usually and stuff like that. So
all right,
check those out. Check those out. Shout out to Fluid Cut. Shout out to Tim Diesel.
All right.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
And peace.
Peace.
I'm going to turn this off now, once again.